Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter, and I welcome you to another Degrassi poll video. I know I haven't been doing them lately because I guess I have had some great ideas, but I've already done them. So anyway, I was inspired after looking at my playlist of the Degrassiisms playlist, and basically what I found out was that I did a I did a video on the best seasons in Degrassi history through voting, and season 3 ended up beating season 4 narrowly. So I decided to think to myself, what were the 10 best storylines from season 3? Because season 3 had a lot of good storylines and all that. Of course, I'm a season 4 guy doing in depth stuff about the Rick Murray situation and how much blame should be put on people. But the fact of the matter is that I decided, because I remember season 3 having a lot of great storylines in its 20 episodes. So I decided to do a few. Just to let you know, two honorable mentions were actually Moodiness near the end of the season and Sean leaving Emma for the Candy Bandits. That will not be in the top 10, but they were both good storylines. So here we go. It will be. So I did two polls. Well, I did a poll randomizing the 12 storylines into two polls of six. But anyway, what happened was that the top three from each poll, or the mini polls, got into the big poll from 1 to 6, and then the other four got from 7 to 10. So from 7 to 10, you'll hear me read different numbers than 1 to 6. But basically, this is the poll. This is the poll for that. So the first four are from the 7 to 10 poll to rank, and 283 people voted for this poll. All right, so here we go. So number 10 on the list with 14 votes. Oh no, what else? Oh no, sorry. Emma and Manny's friendship was an honorable mention because Sean leaving Emma for the Candy Bandits actually was a top 10. So number 10 is Sean leaving Emma for the Candy Bandits. So what ended up happening is that Sean and Emma still had the relationship, but Emma had to deal with Snake's issues. And that's gonna, well, and now lead into the next one. But anyhow, Emma was busy at home. Snake had leukemia, and she had a new baby brother. And Sean thought that Emma didn't have time for him, so Sean decided to join Jay in his Candy Bandits, a great gang with Alex and a few other people, like Amy. And Emma was upset that Sean would leave her for a gang and all that. Emma thought that Sean was better than that. She wanted to reform him in a sense, but unfortunately, that did not go over so well. But anyway, this did lead to Emma getting revenge on Sean because Sean was stealing stuff to impress Jay's gang, and Emma wanted Sean to pay for stealing Snake's laptop. So what ended up happening was that, she tried to think that Sean was stealing stuff. Jay even told her, but Sean was found not guilty, although he did get in trouble with Radich for, and that led to one of the top 6 things that I will not disclose. But Emma is taken to task by Chris because Chris said that Emma just wanted to destroy Sean for leaving her. I mean, of course she did. Emma then somehow gets Chris back, even though that she didn't deserve Chris or anyone else at that point. Maybe Toby. But anyhow, Sean repents by telling Snake everything about the laptop. But thankfully, though, he decides to clear up Snake's card for free, and everything, and Snake and Sean get Sean's trust back. So, of course, speaking of leukemia and all that, let's go with number 9, and that's Snake's leukemia storyline, which had 36 votes in the mini poll. So, Snake, in I believe the 4th or 5th episode, was starting to feel a little ill and all that. I didn't know why, but then the doctor said he had some kind of onset leukemia. And Snake was losing his energy. He had to leave school for a while. He tries his best, but he feels like he's dying and all that. However, with Emma and Spike's help, Joey manages to get Snake to come to bowling because Snake loses his hair to leukemia, and all of a sudden Wheels pops up out of nowhere. Snake doesn't want anything to do with Wheels, obviously because of Wheels' behavior in School's Out, the Degrassi High movie. However, Wheels, and yes, played by Neil Hope, said that he wanted to die after hurting that kid, killing that kid in that accident, when he was driving drunk and served a lot of time in jail. He thought about it long and hard. He basically said that he wanted to die, but then he knew he had to keep going and all that. And Snake is inspired by Wheels saying that, you can't give up on your dreams now. So Snake, Joey, and Wheels reunite as a sit remedy and do. Everybody wants something. And Snake's much better. Snake's leukemia was cleared up and all that. However, when Emma was trying to fix computers and all that, she saw Snake's will and realizes that maybe the cancer treatment didn't work out so well. She picks a fight with Alex. Snake talks to her about it, and Emma said, I was worried about your will and all that. And Snake said, well, it's just in case things happen. Thankfully, though, Snake is cured and his leukemia has re, have been remissed, so he's in remission. Number 8, with 53 votes in the mini poll, was Emma looking for Shane. I voted for it as the best of the 4 of them, but anyway, Emma looking for Shane was huge because the whole Shane storyline is huge in a sense. I've done a couple of popular opinions, and I think I did a Degrassiism on Mr. Shane. Regardless, Shane aside, Emma was about to get a new baby sibling in the world when we start season 3. She wants to look for her father, but Spike is of no help. Caitlin refuses to help. Basically, Emma is left high and dry. Emma just wants to know. Emma thinks she remembers Shane being a doctor because she visited him when he was 3. So she looks for Dr. Shane McCain, finds one, but he's a black doctor. Whoops. So she goes through Snake's alumni stuff and finds Shane in Stoveville. So she courses Craig to come with her. And basically, they get together and go to Stoveville and all that so that she can meet her dad. But then she finds out that her dad is in a mental deficient home. And, we know the story about Shane, falling off a bridge and all that and surviving and then just having to learn to walk and talk again. And of course, Shane, this time, not played by Bill Parrott, he was played by Jonathan Torrance, who actually has a bit of a thing with Degrassi because remember, it was Jonathan Torrance and his CBC teen show Johnelvision that reunited some Degrassi members and all that and brought maybe a revamp of Degrassi out of the woodwork. Although CTV would swipe in and take it away from CBC. Anyhow, well, Jonathan's performance actually won him a Gemini, which is basically Canada's answer to the Emmys. So anyway, Emma is shocked to find out her father has brain damage and all that, and doesn't know what to think of it. The worst part for Emma and Craig is that they missed the last train from Snowville back to Toronto, so basically they are stuck. Craig calls Joey, and Joey picks him up and demands to know why the two of them were in Stouffville. Well, Emma says, my dad, and Joey looks shocked. Spike gets angry at Emma. Emma gets mad at her. It's a battle royale. Emma skips breakfast and basically doesn't want anything to do with Spike and all that. However, Snake does the right thing by telling Emma all these things about Shane's history, that Shane and Spike had Emma, and Shane wanted to help out, but his parents basically did not want anything to happen to him. To that. So basically, Shane did offer to help, paying half his allowance, but then he'd spend it on concert tickets. And, he jumped off or fell off a bridge. We don't know, but, he wanted to be there for you, Emma. And Spike just didn't let you have it. And then Emma's like, why didn't you tell me these things? And Snake said she was hoping that you wouldn't ask so early, and she wanted to wait till you're older, which is probably wrong, but you owe it to your mother. And then Emma finally picks up the pieces and remembers that memory when she was 3 was that she was in a home and Spike demanded that Shane not come close to Emma. I mean, I understand what Spike was doing and all that. But yeah, it was kind of awkward. So anyhow, Emma then finds out about Shane, tries to call Spike at the house. Spike has her own problems because Shane somehow Shane got Emma's address and then came by. Somehow he got there and, he was upset over Spike being with Snake. As a fit, Spike goes into labor. Thankfully, Emma saves the day and tells Shane that if you hurt my mom, we'll never speak again. And then Shane calms down. And then, Shane gets something for Spike. And Spike does apologize to Emma for the wrongs, but Emma realizes that Spike was just trying to protect her. And baby Jack's born into the world. And number 7, the tops in that little small ranking video from 7 to 10 was Manny changing her look with 180 votes. Now, controversially, I know you'll say this, but if you remember my 2 polls, that Manny changing her look was a top 3, but because of one of the storylines in season 3 that should have been in the top 6, I decided to do fetal power and move Manny changing her look down to 7 to 10, and obviously she won the 7. So Manny actually is in love with this guy named Sully. However, Paige tells Manny that Sully is not really into cuteness and all that. And Manny says stuff about dogs and kittens are cute. No, sorry, she doesn't want to be cute, Emma worries about Manny flaunting her look. It gets JT to bonk into things a couple times. Emma is upset that Manny's using her sexuality to help Emma with her environmental club. Manny takes her to task, saying that it's all about you, huh? Everything, I've been helping you out with your problems, and you just don't get it. And Emma says it's not a stupid environmental problem. Anyhow, Manny gets in trouble for wearing her underwear outside her pants, which is an offense. A lot of schools say it ruins the dress code, and that's true. Manny thinks that Emma probably went against her and told Radich. It could have been Liberty. But anyway, Manny decides not to wear any physical underwear. Or any underwear at all. And then she bends over for some reason. And JT finally catches it and saves Manny from being embarrassed and sexualized. Unfortunately, Manny does not approve of Emma's prudishness and all that. It leads to Manny trying to get to Craig, which I will explain in another storyline, which is top 6. But regardless, Emma is upset with Manny, saying that Emma figured Chris had a girlfriend, and she said that she couldn't be that evil. But Manny decides to steal Craig from Ashley's clutches. Hypocritical. And Emma was right to say Manny was a hypocrite. Manny and Craig make out in Emma's bed, and Emma's upset. So, of course, Emma tells Manny, saying that you can't be sexualized and all that. You got to make a choice. And Manny decides not to be Emma's friend, saying that I will not be with a stuck-up, prudish person like you. And Emma says, fine, I will not go be friends with the school slut. And so they go, and then they split up, in a sense. But then, Manny and Emma talk about things in a different storyline, which I will get to. So that's the end of that part. So now we got the ranking from 1 to 6. There were 298 votes on this, and it was kind of spread out pretty well. There wasn't any runaway winner or runaway loser, if you will. All right, so here we go. Number 6 on the list with 20 votes in the 298 votes for the top 6 was the Breakfast Club homage. So one episode on a Saturday morning, Raj decides to put 5 students in detention for their crimes. We do kind of get to know why Jimmy, Toby, and Sean are in, based on previous episodes. Ellie, not so much, and Hazel, not at all. So Toby and Jimmy were in because Toby, trying to find new friends because JT dumped him off, basically wanted to be part of Jimmy's friend group. And Jimmy says, fine, but I can't go to a certain concert because my grades are low. And Toby says, I can fix your grades for you. So he attempts to do so on his laptop, but it dies on him. And Jimmy says, you got to help me out and all that. Do it on the school computer. Little did Toby know that Raj actually wanted Toby to do something for him because he's the tech geek. Unfortunately, he finds out that Toby hacked into Raj's thing and all that. And then Toby decides, I have nothing to lose, so he implicates Jimmy, and they both put Saturday morning detention and all that. To me, it's like, was Saturday morning detention good? I said, Raj put him in detention. He could have just told the police, and the police would have got involved, and then there would have been bigger trouble and all that. They should be lucky they only got detention. Meanwhile, Sean got in trouble for bad-mouthing Radish. Basically, Radish had a grudge against Sean. I mean, Sean stole stuff, but obviously Radish couldn't completely prove it because Sean sold that stuff faster than you could say Superman, as I said in a few videos. So, as is, Raj was upset with Sean, and I think putting him in detention, Saturday detention for 8 weeks, was just a way to get him back for stealing his stuff. And besides, without proof, Raj couldn't destroy Sean. And then Ellie was in because she continued to cut classes, and it was not because of her problems with her dad and her mom, which I will get to in a storyline that is in the top 6. But basically, we find out that Ellie actually cut class on purpose to get some scoop for her co-op. And I kind of thought that Radich put Ellie up to it, trying to get her to control things and all that. That would have destroyed Radich and put him on the chopping block. And Hazel looked at some inappropriate sites. Okay, fair enough. That you can get punished by that. They still do that nowadays. Regardless. So Radish basically tries to be the guy from the Breakfast Club, the dean and all that, the kind of dickwad. Although he does try to exercise using a Swiss ball, which Hazel sees, and he says it's a Swiss ball from Switzerland. Because Hazel had a bathroom pass. Oh. It was funny. They were trying to make Radish into this cool character because I guess that he was declining in such a sense that people hated his guts. I mean, I feel bad for Dan Woods in that sense. Regardless, the 5 of them actually are put up in separate rooms and all that after some shenanigans, and then they come together to look at the roof, to go up on the roof and all that. We soon see Jimmy and Hazel interact and Ellie and Sean interact. Toby is up by himself. Well, there's 5 people. Just then, Snake comes back to Degrassi because he's back from his treatment, his chemo. And Raj says that when you're gone, there are people who are making big mistakes and all that. And you can tell Raj was crowing after getting Sean. And Simpson tells him they're kids, they're good kids, and they shouldn't have to pay for their mistakes. One thing I have a beef with this episode was that they should have been serving detention or suspension throughout the week. That way, it makes much more sense. I mean, you put Sean in detention for several weeks in a row. You put Hazel in for at least 1 day. You put Ellie in for a couple of days. And then you put Toby and Jimmy in for about a week. What was wrong with that? Regardless of that, they get found out about the roof, and Toby takes the fall, and Raj allows them to go. But before they go, Sean finds out about Ellie's tape about taping their conversations, and then basically realizing that Ellie was in as a spy, probably as a Raj spy, but no, she did for co-op. However, Ellie's upset. But then they all hang out. Jimmy and Hazel, Ellie and Sean hang out, and all that, and people were shocked. Ellie decides not to use the tape, saying that, Sean was right to get rid of it. Ellie and Sean become an item, and Sean stays in Toronto, even though that his brother has a job in Alberta, going through student welfare. Ellie lives with Sean until Sean goes back to Wasaga Beach to deal with his PTSD, and Ellie's all by herself until her mother gets her back. And all that. Jimmy and Hazel were a decent item until season 5, when Hazel was thinking that Jimmy was emotionally cheating on her with Ellie. Anyway, number 5 with 33 votes. The one I picked as the number one is the Rick and Terry relationship. I guess probably if it was like season 4, that's number 1. But the fact of the matter is that Rick and Terry's relationship was huge. Terry didn't really have a boyfriend. She was a loner. She was in Paige's clique. Anyway, people started taking roses on her locker, but it was Rick who said he was really shy and all that. Rick and Terry seem to be good together because Rick's a feeder buff. Unfortunately, after Terry grows close to Jimmy in part of a feeder project, Rick decides to give Terry bad acting tips on purpose to try to make her to embarrass her and then basically have her not be with Jimmy. Paige, um, Terry doesn't like that, and Rick actually does not like Paige and Hazel spreading false stuff to Terry. He actually hits her into a wall, pushes her into a wall. They they break up, and then after some trust exercises, Rick and Terry are paired up accidentally, and they decide to get back together. Terry wants to get back together with a guy because, after all, she's been invited to a road trip with Jimmy and Hazel and Spinner and Paige. So logically, she went with Rick. Although everyone said that they would keep an eyeball on her, it did not work that way. And, Rick pissed Paige off. He runs off, and then Terry runs off after him, and then Rick gets mad because Terry is defending Paige and all that, and accidentally pushes her into a rock. She cracks her head. Boom. Rick has blood on his hands. He runs from Spinner and Paige, who find her in the woods. Spinner and Paige have a tough time explaining things to Terry's dad about Rick's abuse on her. Of course, Terry's dad gets mad at Paige and Spinner for not saying anything to him. But then he soon learns that, they're just kids and he should not have taken his anger out of them. But Paige and Spinner said, you had every right to do that. So anyway, Rick gets away from school. I thought he was expelled, but no, his parents pulled him out. And it makes me thinking, how much truth did Rick actually tell about the incident and all that? He must have played on his parents' sympathy and all that, because there's no way he's going to tell everything to them. So anyhow, Rick's out of the school. Spinner wants to tear Rick a new one, and it gets stopped by Rick's mom. But of course, Spinner and Paige both blame themselves and each other for not stopping the Terry situation when they did. I mean, they're kids and all that. Little did they know what would happen in season 4. I'll just give you Cliff's notes. Rick comes back in season 4. The school's not too happy. Raj refuses to help their cause and all that. Pisses off Emma, who does the Orange Ribbon campaign to try to get rid of Rick because of several factors in her life. Unfortunately, Rick gets bullied relentlessly. Emma protects Rick after realizing that her cause was not taken completely because it was supposed to be for domestic violence victims. And so Rick finds true love with Emma as he sees it, but Emma says that she just did it out of pity. Rick gets pissed off of Emma and decides to shoot her after shooting Jimmy after being tricked by Spinner and Jay. Fortunately, though, Sean saves the day and accidentally kills Rick with the gun. Rick dies, and then there's tons of aftermath, which led to people leaving Degrassi for PTSD reasons. Sean, people dealing with PTSD, but it was not properly exposed, as in Emma and Toby, and people leaving Degrassi because of the faults he made. Radich. All right. So, number 4 on the list with 48 votes. It was close between 3rd and 4th, but number 4 with 48 was Ellie's health harming storyline. So, one day Ellie learns that her dad is going to the military, to Afghanistan, because, Canada was part of the movement on the war in Afghanistan, which the Taliban now have taken basically control of. Anyway, Ellie has to deal with her mother, who's upset with her husband going to the military, but she becomes a drunk and is on the TV and all that, and Ellie has to take good care of her mother, and the stress of her having a bad mother and with co-op stuff basically leads Ellie to something. She finds a compass in her mist and starts making lines and cutting herself to feel with the pain and all that of the co-op job and her mother, and with her dad being in Afghanistan. So basically, Ellie had troubles, but she gets caught by Paige one day, inadvertently. Paige was looking for the same internship as Ellie, but Paige says, I don't want your stupid internship. I just want to help you. So Paige wants to help Ellie with her cutting and all that and understands her help. So Miss Sauve tries to help with Ellie. Ellie doesn't say anything in her first session, but Miss Sauve understands. And I guess Ellie did come clean to Sauve about her stuff, and she stops cutting herself. It shows that Paige isn't a total dick. I don't think she is. I think Paige is just full of herself when she's a queen bee. Regardless of that, there was controversy in Canada, of course, this is a Canadian show, that girls in Montreal were in trouble for cutting themselves with the compass, which is a math thing. And basically, they saw it on the show, and CTV had to give a full apology. And number 3 with 50 votes, as I said, it was close between third and fourth, was Manny's abortion angle. Yes, this was the one that I swapped out. I swapped out Manny's look for Manny's abortion angle because abortion is huge in the world of Degrassi, and I know it's taboo and all that, but it had to be done. So Manny's abortion angle was there. So it's going to be hard to actually explain this thing without having to go with number 1. But anyway, yeah, you know what? I will describe Manny's abortion angle when I talk about number 1. All right, so you can probably guess what number 1 is. But number 2 with 65 votes was Marco coming out of the closet. Now, I'm actually shocked this didn't win. I know I voted for Rick and Terry's relationship because that was huge because it led to season 4 in my research. But Marco coming out of the closet should have been number 1 because, we knew Marco was gay. He told Ellie he was gay in season 2, but he hung out around Ellie and dated her because he didn't want anyone to know about his secret. But Ellie said, I can't keep your secret any longer. And then Marco decides to come out of the closet. Spinner's upset that Marco refuses to go with Hazel and dumps her off for his mom's pasta sauce. Spinner's like, there's no explanation. There is. What? I'm gay. And then Spinner runs away. Spinner unfortunately writes some homophobic stuff. I think in what was it, the preview or the episode itself, it said Marco is a F blank. However, I think that the line was Marco is a gay was in the finished product because I think CTV didn't want that 3-letter word being on their show. So of course Jimmy says Marco's gay. Yeah, he told me. And all that. Marco feels good. Marco decides to come out of the closet. Everyone accepts him, minus Spinner, who has some homophobic views and all that. Jimmy takes him to task, saying that you hurt everybody because of their stuff. Are you going to write graffiti about me being black? I think Spinner would have done that already. Well, regardless, they shun Spinner, and Spinner is left thinking about himself. But I mean, Spinner's homophobic stuff, it makes sense in a sense. Because, I mean, Spinner was afraid that Marco came out of the closet to him specifically because Marco wanted to date Spinner. And Spinner, was questioning himself and all that. People were ignoring Spinner and he deserved it. But anyway, Marco coming out of the closet was huge because this was the first time. Well, not the first time in Degrassi history because Snake's brother came out as being gay in Degrassi High. But anyway, it was huge for a main character to be coming out of the closet. And, it was a groundbreaker, a trailblazer in Canadian TV. So Marco unfortunately gets gay bashed by some guys while Marco was trying to get to one of Dylan's hockey games. Paige's brother, who also was gay, was Dylan. So Marco thinks that Dylan's the perfect fit. So he tries to go to a hockey game, but gets hurt along the way. And then everything falls to pieces and all that. Spinner does feel bad about himself, and he does apologize in a sense. Marco tells him that, not you think you're hot, but you're not. Not every girl wants to be with you. Spinner does have problems when Marco comes to him trying to give him the highlight maneuver when Spinner was choking on something, but Spinner thought that Marco was coming too close to him. I mean, in a sense, I don't hate Spinner for that fact. I think Spooner was just nervous that Marco was coming out to him specifically, so Marco could be with Spinner. I mean, it is a common occurrence. I mean, this is 20 years ago, but still. Anyway, that's what happened. And number one, with 82 votes, was the Craig Manny Ashley love triangle. So basically, yeah, there were a couple of storylines within season 3 that had to do with this. So regardless of that, here's what happens. So, Craig is in love with Ashley, but Manny thinks Craig is great. Manny and Craig went on a date in season 2. They both had different opinions about the date and all that. They both didn't want to go together. Manny had eyes for Craig, even though Emma wanted to be with Craig and all that when he was introduced in season 2. So anyway, Craig was with Ashley, and then somehow Craig and Manny are an item too, which was weird because Craig's supposed to be with Ashley. So Manny wants Craig badly, so he decides to try to steal Craig from Ashley's clutches. In a Christmas episode, which you don't really see unless you watch it online, because it's a Christmas episode, so it's not really in the playlist, like in the rotation. Manny and Ashley both find out that Craig was secretly going out with both of them at the same time and didn't make a decision. So they both dump him off for some reason. So anyway, Craig is upset, and Joey tells Craig that he had to deal with two girls at the same time. The School's Out movie, when he was with Tessa and Caitlin, and basically both found out, and then basically Caitlin found out about Tessa and dumped Joey off and all that. Joey had his own problems because he wanted to be with Sydney, but Caitlin wanted to steal Joey from underneath Sydney's clutches, and that kind of sucked in a sense. Regardless of that, it was huge. And then all of a sudden, Craig decides to go with Manny because, Manny's pregnant. Note the abortion angle. So Manny finds out she's pregnant through a few signs and all that, and doesn't know what to do. She asked Craig if he used protection, and he didn't really say yes, so it was a no. So of course Manny finds out she's pregnant through Spike, and Spike said maybe your parents will be happy with it. I mean, my parents were okay with it. We're understanding. And then Manny says, not really, because my parents are super Catholic and all that, and they will send me to the Philippines to a convent like my cousin Mary. So anyway, Manny has the problems dealing with a baby and all that growing inside her with Craig. And as a test, she decides to try to babysit Emma's brother Jack. But they can't really do anything, so they fail miserably. Emma tells Manny the best thing to do is to have it full term and then put up an adoption agency. You don't know how good they are. And Manny says, I just can't at this time, Emma. I'm feeling abortion. And Emma, was anti-abortion because she almost was aborted herself, blew off at Manny. However, after Craig, Manny tells Craig about that, saying that she's getting an abortion. Craig is upset, rightfully so. And I just wish Craig told Manny that he wants this baby so that he could have a family. I mean, his parents are both dead. Well, one from some kind of condition, and one because of his abusive behavior leading to an accident. And then, him not really caring about Joey as much as we would like to. Joey aside, he was upset. Emma steps in unexpectedly and tells Craig off, saying that I'm with you about this thing that Manny should not have an abortion, but it's her body, her right to choose, and if she wasn't my best friend, I'd be fuming. And Manny was shocked that Emma actually stepped in and helped her out because Emma was anti-abortion and all that. There's two theories about this. Theory number one, the one I believe the most, is that Spike must have been talking to Emma about Manny and all that, saying that you need to support Manny and all that. I mean, they had a conversation and all that. But also number two is that, Manny and Emma broke off as friends in a sense, and they didn't really get back together as friends prior to the abortion angle. So I'm thinking to myself, Emma probably wanted to be best friends with Manny and decided to buckle and to give in to Manny and saying that, I got to help Manny out and all that. Now, of course, that's not the end of it. Well, that's the end of the abortion angle, but that's not the end of the love triangle, as Ashley is understandably pissed off with Craig over everything and writes a song saying that Craig is scum and gets on Craig's nerves. Craig writes an apology song. He ends up winning a competition with Blue Jay, with at the time Blue Jay and now Texas Rangers manager Chris Woodward in the crowd. So anyway, Craig manages to win the song contest for some reason, and Ashley takes him back. Why, I don't know. I mean, Craig deserved to be bit in the butt, and Ashley had every right to be there. And then Ashley started to become moody for some odd reason. This, she just couldn't get past Craig cheating on her. And Ashley nearly flunked and all that, and nearly transferred to another school. But thanks to Spinner and Paige for helping, they helped Ashley get out of her funk by taking her to an Elvis competition. She ends up third place, and then she starts to come around. So yeah, it was huge. Yeah, that was really huge about how season 3 had so many great storylines, like at least 10 good storylines. Not many seasons have 10 good storylines. I mean, I know you had the telenovela seasons in which they had 40 of them and 40 episodes, and 10 of them had to pop in, but like, fuck that sentiment. I'm sorry, but that's the way I am with my Degrassi videos. Take it